There's been a lot of talk this offseason about the Minnesota Vikings transition from former head coach Mike Zimmer to new head coach Kevin O'Connell, and the transition away from the fear-based organization, in the words of Eric Kendricks, and people saying hi to Brian O'Neill in the hallways. It's a fantastic day. And what's really been telling is that Vikings veterans have not been afraid to go on record, put their name on comments, whether it's directly or reading between the tea leaves of praising the new culture and organization, and maybe poo-pooing on the former one. It's telling. And a rule of thumb is you only get half the truth. So the fact that they're actually going on record and saying that, I mean, how bad was it? It was rough. And you could see the last couple years just reverse engineering this thing, that when the Vikings got into a tight spot in a game, they just when they got punched in the mouth, they just sort of fizzled, right? And they didn't have that fight. They weren't ready to play for the team. It's rough. And there's a reason why the Vikings, even though they had a lot of talent on the roster, on paper, on purpose, they hadn't been above 500 at any point since 2019. So Zimmer had to go. Kevin O'Connell coming in. And I understand we're going to get some comments like, oh, what keep looking at the past? Well, we got to do the post-mortem. Like, we got to find the reason why the 2020 and 2021 Vikings just ceased to be, right? And Tyler Dunne, former beat writer, I believe, of the Packers as well as the Buffalo Bills. So he's got a new site called Go Long. It's a really good, just really wide-ranging, in-depth, long-form website. Go subscribe over there. Now, he did a two-part series. It's a new day for the Minnesota Vikings, culture shock. Now, he talked to a lot of the Vikings currently involved, as well as couple not so currently involved, right? But he did talk to a lot of current players, Dalvin, Cousins, Thielen, and Daniil, about the new culture, and they're all praising it, and they're all down for it, man. Sometimes change is absolutely good and necessary. But there's a couple quotes in there from former Vikings cornerback Terence Newman. Now, Newman's interesting because he was a high draft pick coming out of Kansas State. He spent a couple years in Dallas with Zimmer. He followed Zimmer to Cincinnati. Then later he followed Zimmer here to the great state of Minnesota. And he also served as assistant cornerbacks coach on Zimmer's staff for a season before he bounced. So the fact that Terence Newman is coming in with the flamethrower, whoo, a little bit telling, man. Now, Pro Football Talk aggregated some of these juicier comments. And then there's a bombshell. There's an absolute nuclear missile at the end of this that we'll get to. Here's what they said. Most significant are the on-the-record comments from former Vikings cornerback Terence Newman, who worked on Vikings staff after his playing career ended. Quote, I think Zimmer felt the pressure, and he put so much pressure on everyone else around him that there was no way we could succeed, Newman told Dunne. We couldn't win. That would be a sin. We even lose the game before we even win. It was hard to focus on your job when you're focusing on, okay, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get cussed out. That type of environment is tough to work in, period. I don't give a shit what you do. It's hard to work in an environment like that. Now, part of it, well, no, we'll continue, then we'll make our point. The problem was simple. Zimmer was always pissed off. He was never in a good mood, Newman told Dunne. People sense that stuff. You come in and you have an attitude. What the are you mad about? There's this dude over here playing with a bum knee, giving it everything he's got. Could have sat out, but he said, you know what? I want to be there for my boys. I want to go out. I want to push myself. I want to do what I can for my team. And then this guy's over here getting grumpy about possibly getting fired and still making however much money he's going to make next year because he's got a guaranteed contract. Tell me how that's fair. Newman explained that when you try to intimidate, you get guys who are scared to make mistakes. Now, you do your job, but you do your job, blah, 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 blah. Now, all of this sounds like Belichick, and Florio pointed that out. I was like, all this sounds like Bill Belichick. And if Zimmer had a fraction of the success of Belichick, maybe the Vikings rip off that Super Bowl in 2017, he would still be employed. He would still be lauded as the beacon of old school toughness, the disciple of Bill Parcells. And we said at the time when Zimmer would come in and try to push buttons and play mind games, he was just trying to emulate his former mentor Bill Parcells. But Parcells had a plan. Zimmer was just pushing buttons to push buttons, right? And Zimmer, his moodiness is very well noted. I don't think anyone denies that. That's not new news. And also players, playing through injuries and just not feeling great about the culture. That's not news either. But like we said, if the Vikings had won Super Bowls, if the Vikings had the consistent success like Belichick has had in New England, this would not be an issue, because everything Newman said here applies to Belichick. Hell, it probably applies to Mike Tomlin too, to a degree. But when you have success, you can be that guy, right? Also, this applies to Todd Haley. You remember him? Because Todd Haley's a Parcells guy too. It's like that didn't quite work out because he didn't have success. But if you win, that covers up everything. And then they continued. If you're coaching the 90s, blah, 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 blah. Nah. So the best part is at the end here. Newman said the environment became toxic. And while we typically shy away, remember, this is Pro Football Talk, from sharing opinions shared to the media on an off-the-record basis, an unnamed former coordinator provided a blunt and simple explanation for why he thinks the 2022 Vikings will thrive. Because the devil's gone. The unnamed former Vikings coordinator told Dunne, Satan is out of the building. Wow. Wow, man. Wow. It's so amazing. Now, part of that certainly could have been said in jest. You can certainly see how the person, the unnamed source, the unnamed former Vikings coordinator could have said that with a laugh. Is like, devil's gone. Satan's out of the building. Satan has left the building, right? All that stuff. But, wow. Now, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, this person clearly has an axe to grind with Zimmer, but also just try to reverse engineer who said it. Who said it, man? So, I think we can safely rule out Adam Zimmer. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Probably ruling out Prefer. Gary Kubiak wouldn't do that. I don't think Edwards would go down that route. Andre Patterson, of course, is too classy for that. I mean, Stefanski, no. Shermer, no. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Norv, who quit, who resigned in 2016 after Shermer was brought in as a tight ends coach. Sure. JDF, who was fired midway through his first season. Little Kubiak. Probably not Lil Coobs. Mauro Maloof, who got canned and blamed for special teams failures. Probably not Ryan Ficken, who went on. He's special teams coordinator for the Chargers right now, but it's juicy. Isn't that so juicy, man? But I don't know. I understand part of it is piling on. Part of it is just salacious gossip. But everyone likes a little bit of gossip. But bottom line, the Vikings greatly improved in the culture department. And like we said, you can read the players' body language. You can read it between the tea leaves of their comments. They're happy to be there. They're ready to fight and scrap for each other. They're ready to fight and scrap for this coaching staff and for this organization. And before, sometimes it can be tough. Like, think about any work environment where you're not happy to be there and you're not exactly thrilled to play for your boss or work for your boss. And are you going to give full effort all the time, even though you are a paid professional? You could say, well, these guys are professionals. They should do that. Do you always give 100% of your job as a paid professional in your vocation? It's kind of tough. But either way, I think the Vikings are going to play fun, fast, free football and just get after it. Like we said, it's been so frustrating over the last 2 years where so much damn talent where they completely underachieved over and over and over again. But now it's a new day, a new dawn. Now we can finally close that chapter, unless more gossip comes out, because, I mean, the devil's gone. Woo! Come on, man. But your thoughts are our thoughts. Tyler Dunne did up a great piece about the Vikings' new culture. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts and his thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.